Yep, that's me. And you're probably wondering how I ended up here. Well, it's pretty standard. Music player in my chest. Pretty sure that's not supposed to be there. Second, it's powering up my new robot arm. Third, it's making everything sync up with the beat. And this sounds ridiculous, but when the music kicks in, it feels like I'm on a stage. Let's rock, big boy. Got a killer track. But every song's gotta end.
Welcome back, one and all. How was your weekend? Good? Good. So, remember that video I made about a little game called Metal Hellsinger? A rhythmic first-person shooter game where you have to sync to the beat, and also where I talked about the importance of music in your media, and also happens to be my second least viewed video on my channel? Yeah, this next game outclasses it immensely. Who would have thought that out of all the companies that would be the one to drop an early amazing banger at the start of the year, it'd be Microsoft. Made by Tango Gameworks, the same group of people behind The Evil Within. Yeah, talk about tonal whiplash. I welcome you all to HiFiRush. This game is such an anomaly to me. You have a studio that was recently well known for horror games creating a rhythmic cartoon action game backed up by Microsoft, who had been a no-show the year before this, and on top of that, it was shadow dropped for Game Pass with no real promotional work put into it. And the creme de la creme of this entire ordeal, it's actually really damn awesome. Yeah, this is one of 2023's biggest surprises and is possibly my personal game of the year. It's that good. It's crazy to me that a game like this exists today. A game that feels like a game first and foremost and has left an impact at the beginning of the year. So much so that you have plenty of man-children that had more time to downplay this game's success than they have spent time playing their games.
Fucking beautiful, but
Oh yeah,
bro,
beautiful.
it's Xbox. It has Xbox stench all over it. It really does. Them niggas is not passionate about gaming, bro.
Yeah.
They just want you in their subscription service.
Oh no, cringe.
And now, considering that the game has now officially hit 3 million players, what better time to talk about it? I'm so excited to talk about this game, as this one is going to be a bit more personal for me. Remember that I said this because there's another reason why I wanted to dedicate a video to this masterpiece. So grab your guitars and come rock out to this game with me. Join me as this is my love letter to HiFiRush. Before we talk about the game itself, as it is the highlight of it, there's something that I also want to point out, as I have done the same with Metal Hellsinger. The importance of art direction and music in your game. Far too often nowadays, companies have tried to push the absolute limit of how many follicles that you can see on a character's face, or how much grass can move by walking on it. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, it's pretty impressive how far technology has gone in terms of making games looking incredible from a graphics point of view. One could say I wish I could do the same with the game's performance nowadays, as I think that's a bigger importance, but hey, fuck me, right? As there have been multiple instances of it. However, it's just as important, if not more so, to have a fantastic art direction because that alone sells your game. If it catches the player's eye, people are gonna want to play it because it has a stylistic choice backing it up. Such is the case with HiFiRush. The game's art style and color palette looks amazing. It has 3 separate styles that manage to work together cohesively, bouncing from 2D to 3D seamlessly, and even has instances of looking similar to a comic book. I was shocked by how fantastic looking the art style for the game is, constantly impressing me with how well animated it all is, considering it is cel shaded and whatnot. This is the same kind of stuff that I am talking about. People will play your game if it looks good. Do you guys think that people play Street Fighter 6 for fun? Ha! Actually, don't answer that. But what makes this game the most enticing is the heavy emphasis on music. While it's not absolute hard rock like Metal Hellsinger is, the soundtrack is still super engaging and gets my blood pumping and has me headbanging consistently.
Dodge this!
The amount of times that my heart begins to race and I just dance to the action as the music plays while I'm playing the game, it's just a constant jolt. I felt like I needed a nap after 1 or 2 levels because the music is just that good. I even picked up the official soundtrack on YouTube and Apple Music and even have songs on repeat more often than I can comprehend while I'm working or anything miscellaneous. And on top of this, while they did get some licensed music from 9 Inch Nails, the devs decided to add a streamer mode for those that want to stream the game without any further problems with copyright. Ha! Take that, overlords! So, all in all, HiFiRush already makes a very strong first impression with its focus on art style and wonderful music, and that molds into what can only be considered as artistic harmony. With all this said, however, the music has more than one influence on HiFiRush, and it's not just the music. The second influence that the music has is within the gameplay itself. The best way I can describe the gameplay of HiFiRush is this. Imagine if you took the gameplay of, say, Devil May Cry 5 and had the entirety of the game sync to the beat of Bury the Light, much like Metal Hellsinger, and managed to make it work masterfully, all the way down to the ranking system smokin' sexy style. And when I say that everything is synced to the beat, I literally mean everything. Where do I even start? Let's see. The player characters' movements, enemy movements, level design, gameplay, visuals, boss battles, the parry system, even the damn cutscenes in between gameplay are synced to the beat. But we'll get to that part later. You have your standard light and heavy attacks, but even those follow different attack patterns. While in the beat, light attacks follow a single note pattern doing one after the other, while heavy attacks follow a double pattern connecting every 2 notes to the beat. What makes this super fun, however, is the unique ability to string combos together. It's the ability to get these to work in tandem that makes it such a great system. Like mentioned before, regardless of how late or early you attack, it stays synced to the beat and will auto-correct it for you. However, if you time it just right, you deal extra damage to enemies on top of the combos that you do. And there are a lot of combos. Adding on to this, there's also a parry system as well as a dodging and dashing system. Dashing to the beat gets you 2 extra dashes, and parrying on time stuns them for a moment, among other things. You can also use a grapple hook to zip towards enemies and strike fast quickly. And the cherry on top is these powerful special attacks like, say, riding your guitar like a surfboard. Next, there are the extra assists that you can call in at any other time, each one of them with their own capabilities. There's Peppermint, who can take down barriers and the enemies put up, Macaron, who can be summoned to break Z-shielding on tougher enemies, and Mommy Corsica, who puts out fires and can help stun enemies and bosses. They also have plenty of other uses during the levels themselves. Speaking of, let's talk about the level design. I absolutely love the level design. Each area is so damn unique and has so many interesting ways of how you progress and go through each one. The grapple hook can be used to grip to higher areas or do some fun rail riding sections. Peppermint can be used to shoot down barriers blocking your path. Macaron can be used to break through Z-shielded walls, giant boulders, and even push parts of the level correctly with a single punch. And Corsica can put out fires blocking your way, or overheat generators giving you a way to progress the level at the cost of a time limit. These instances also will have you do some sort of QTE moments, like say, turning on generators, fixing the security, etc. Every level is so intricately crafted that it's incredible. Not one level feels the same, and it's a breath of fresh air. Well, aside from platforming at times being kinda shitty. They even have some unique secrets in each level where you can come back after finishing the main game, and even new stuff to collect like say health gauge pieces to help increase your health, batteries to help juice up your special attacks, and so on. Now, if you noticed, there's a little scrap icon in the corner here. That is your currency. No, not for microtransactions and all that other crap, hashtag Diablo 4. It's actually used for getting chai and your other assists, more abilities, and attacks for you to do as well as unique special attacks and new combos. And trust me when I say, the combos are incredible. I'd recommend checking them out. On top of that, there's also these chips that you can get and give your character more of a boost depending on what chips you equip. You also can use this currency to unlock parts of the soundtrack in which you can listen to in your own time. Now, let's get to one of my favorite parts of the game, the boss battles. And let me tell you now, the boss fights are incredible. Each and every one of them has unique mechanics and not one feels the same, with multiple phases, different ways of approaching each of them, and some neat little sections that I didn't expect to like. In fact, it's so good that I actually kind of wish that there was more so a whole nother boss rush mode, because they're just so much fun to do. I mean, for God's sake, there's literally a boss where you don't even have to fight them, but instead, you dwindle their budget to the point where he gets defunded.
My masterpiece! Now everyone will see that I am... Defunded?
Comedy gold and masterclass in self-awareness. The one thing this game surprised me about is its amount of content or things that you can do. There's the doors that I mentioned before that you can unlock after beating the game. They even have unique challenges to them. There's extra graffiti where you can find and which you can take back to the hideout and keep them on your walls, along with challenges that when completed you can add to the pretty damn cool art illustration when completed. There's the Rhythm Tower, which is akin to basically say Devil May Cry 5's Bloody Palace, where it's just a long horde mode to test your survivability. There's a reason why I put over 12 hours on 2 consecutive playthroughs into this game, because there's just so much to do that honestly, I'm shooketh. I am shooketh. And yes, for those who want to know, you can pet the kitty, don't worry. What you got altogether though is a 100% complete package that never gets boring and always keeps you engaged. HiFiRush took a gameplay loop that normally shouldn't work and managed to make it work beautifully. If Metal Hellsinger is a song and dance, HiFiRush is a whole nother musical number. And now we have the story, and as per usual with this segment, it will contain spoilers. So if you don't want to know the details, jump to this timestamp so you don't have to skip a beat. That being said, let's get into this, cause there's a lot I have to talk about with this gem of a story. First off, I'm gonna start by saying that there isn't anything groundbreaking about it really. However, does that mean it's bad? Oh hell no. And let me tell you why. You take the role of Chai, a college dropout who aspires to be a rock star and decided to get an implant for his arm by Project Armstrong over at Vandalay Technologies. Things go sideways, however, as the owner and leader, Kale Vandalay, tosses Chai's MP3 and it lands on Chai's chest just as he is about to get his implant. This in turn embeds it into his chest as a power source for his arm, which results in him getting, in his own words, musical robot powers. This, however, gets him labeled as a defect in the eyes of Vandalay Industries, which paints a huge target on his back. That is until he meets Peppermint and other new friends in order to put a stop to Vandalay's plans, and take out his other executives and discover the truth of their so-called Project Armstrong. Before we continue, I want to go off on a tangent and say that the humor in the cutscenes are absolutely stellar. It knows when to be funny at the proper times, and it doesn't drag out the jokes for too long.
You think you can strong-arm me?
Hey, you chose to fight. Wait, you like puns too?
What? No. Whatever. Let's see how you handle this.
The timing with the comedy is just about as well timed as the music during cutscenes. Speaking of which, just watch. Chef's kiss. Watching the cutscenes is a sight to behold, and I can only imagine how much of a programming nightmare it is to get it all synced perfectly. Also, the self-awareness is next level. I love it.
Sorry, just take a second. You know that guy?
Can we do this later?
Sure, right, later. I think I know how we can escape. Really? Do you trust me?
Are we actually giving them a moment, sir?
But anyways, back to the story. After you meet Peppermint and her cute little robot cat, 808, you join her in her plans to gain access to an executive's computers and learn the truth behind Project Armstrong, and its original purpose called Spectra, which is designed to control the minds of the people alike under Vandalay Industries. It's just so corporate. To learn more about the intentions of Spectra, though, is to gain all the passkeys from the other executives. This includes Rekka, head of production, Zanzo, who is head of research development, and is literally a walking JoJo's reference. Side note, there's surprisingly a nice number of references to pop culture that people have picked up on, even a Xenogears reference. But anyways, the other three executives under Kale's leadership are Corsica, head of security, and honestly she can lock me up any day of the week, just saying.
Don't try to run from us.
It should have been me, not him!
Mimosa, who is head of marketing and is an A-class diva, and Rogueford, who is a head of finance. Collect all their passkeys and you put a stop to Spectra before it's too late. While on the way, they meet new allies like Macaron and his robotic buddy Cinnamon. After taking down both Rekka and Zanzo, your next target is Corsica, who actually was seen investigating the truth behind Spectra. This allows a chance to get her on your side. But as you try to, Kale discovers this and tries to kill both you and Corsica. Chai ends up saving her life, and she discovers that her boss is actually kind of a dick.
I joined his company because I believed it was the only one doing things right. And I read those files on Spectra. I've been such an idiot!
With Corsica on our side, we then venture to Vandalay Museum as a quick way to get to the show that Mimosa is hosting. While we do so, we discover the origins behind Vandalay Industries and see the bending of the truth right before our eyes.
Child was the obvious choice. He was as smart, if not smarter, than his brilliant mother. And oh, look at that hair!
What? That's just a lie.
Miss Peppermint, you are more frustrated than dealing with Mr. Chai.
And it's also where we discover that Peppermint's mom is Roxanne Vandalay, which makes Kale
My brother.
which, by the way, come on, the resemblances were too noticeable. But anyway, this scene is amazing. Just watch.
Now this makes a lot more sense.
He's always taken advantage of people, but I didn't think he'd take things this far. I know what you probably think. You think...
Who cares? Did you think we wouldn't talk to you anymore? We got this far because of you. We're all here because of you.
Yeah, but...
And I'm here fighting because of what you found, and what you're trying to stop.
Not to mention Mr. Chai is the one in the most danger.
Well, yeah, there's that, but that's like secondary or something.
Your brother doesn't define who you are.
And this doesn't change anything.
Really?
It only gives us a stronger reason to fight. As friends.
Chai, that was beautiful, mate.
This is where I took a moment and thought to myself, and I literally said this out loud. I said, I literally love every character. Each member of the cast contributes to one another, and they all complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. Peppermint even goes to straight thinking that, with the truth out, that they'd all hate her. But Chai says, fuck guilt by association. You're your own person, and that they wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't with her. Unironically, the best parts of this game is where things just slow down, and you're able to interact with the characters. That's where the story shines, in this group of misfits. After taking down Mimosa, and you head towards Rogueford, which, by the way, he has one of the best boss introductions. Don't at me.
Hey guys!
All eyes are pointed towards Kale, and putting a stop to him once and for all. However, you discover that Roxanne is still there, but something is odd. This is where Kale traps you and your friends, and they find out the truth behind Spectra's intentions.
This is all an overly complicated plan to sell more product.
Do you have any idea how difficult it is to make something people actually want to buy? It's ridiculously hard! Hey, a new whatever! Well, what color, what model, size, speed, do I need it? All that stress, gone. Because we'll subconsciously make that decision for you.
Man, this is what it must have been like playing Diablo 4. Chai's faith is now shaken, knowing that they're forever stuck, and he questions whether or not he's capable of doing this. That is until he learns that the force field in question is sound-based. So, after one of the best scenes in the entire game, the crew finally makes it for a final assault on Kale. And after two of the best levels in the entire game...
Corsica? This is where you don't let me down!
I'm in love. You finally come face to face with Kale, as he uses Spectra to control Chai. But our favorite kitty isn't having it.
I would never say that. Yeah, well, that's the point. I'm controlling her.
Yes, 808!
Is this a joke? You think I can't deal with a cat?
Game of the year. You then relieve Chai of his mind control, take down Kale, and put all the passkeys together to finally stop Spectra. With Kale gone and Roxanne reinstated as CEO, Macaron and Corsica get their jobs back, and Peppermint and Chai are offered jobs within the company. The game finally ends with Chai and his new friends gathered together and watching the sunset while Chai finally decides to learn how to play guitar, ending on a somber and well-deserved final note. That is until the endgame content hits and you learn more about the remnants of Spectra scattered around each level, but nonetheless, high note. It went out on a high note. All things considered, I love the story behind this game so much. Yeah, like I mentioned, it's nothing groundbreaking or anything like that, but it's told incredibly well, has great humor, and fantastic moments, while having some of the most memorable characters I've ever encountered in recent memory. It knows when to get serious, it knows when to get funny, and at times, for me, it knows when to tug on the heartstrings too a little bit. I love this cast, and I hope we get more because there's a lot of heart here and plenty of charm. And that is HiFiRush. And reflecting on this more and more, there's a big reason why I decided to do a video on this game. It may not be a genre-defining game. It's probably not the best game ever made. It might not even be a Game of the Year contender in most eyes. But it came at a time where I needed to feel some hope in Microsoft and Xbox. Because honestly, this has been the most mixed I've ever felt about a company in my entire life. With how it's being managed, from stuff like Halo, how Halo launched, to the disaster that is Redfall, my hope started to dwindle over time, and it almost felt like Microsoft was doing the same thing. When you look at past interviews with them, there's almost a bit of self-defeating attitude from them, and it sucks. And with games as great as this to come out at the start of the year, and without any real marketing behind it, and for it to still rack up to 3 million players during its life cycle, it shows that they are 100% capable of making great games like they have done for decades. And hey, maybe I'm reading too much into it. With Starfield coming out, they really have a chance to turn things around for the better. And I hope that they do, because they have the capability to do so. And games like HiFiRush prove that it is possible to make games that fans will love to this day. It's a reminder that not only is music really important to convey a feeling in your games, but also that games can come out that are actually allowed to be video games, and people will love it in spite of all the people trying to downplay it, in spite of all the other games that have come out. This game is a personal game of the year of mine, and I hope Tango Gameworks does more with this IP, as honestly, they have a franchise opportunity here, and yet another mascot in 808. Only time will tell, however, so hey, we'll see what happens, but I'll be there to rock out and come along for the ride, if they choose to, cause this definitely was one ride that's worth experiencing. One that I recommend to everyone. And that is my love letter to HiFiRush.
I don't need a guitar. I am a rock star.